Can you guys hear me okay? I don't know how I kicked myself off of there. Let me know. I was probably talking and I wasn't even on panel. How's everybody doing? Hey, Without Borders, how are you? Okay, you can hear me. Thank God. You guys, this case, I just accidentally stumbled upon it while I was looking at like Harry's case, and then Ty Husted, which is from down by Centerville, which is just 20 miles south where I grew up. And I had never heard of this case. He was from Trenton, Missouri, which is where all my nieces and nephews went to college. This case has got me. This is one of the worst cases that I've actually been baffled on, other than Harry. Anyways, Tanner Ward. He was from Trenton, Missouri. He was 19 years old, and he had a sister or two sisters and an older brother. He was born September 7th of 97 to his parents, Lisa and Curtis Ward. His sister was Katie Ashworth, Kelsey Ward, and then, of course, brother Tyler. Oh, you guys, this one here is just, I literally just stumbled upon it today. And well, yesterday actually, and then today I got off work and I'm like, I'm going to talk about this because this is just bizarre. Anyways, he had a fiance named Megan and a little girl named Sophia, and he loved his daughter. And when Tanner was younger, he got into, the wrong crowd, did some recreational drugs, I'm assuming, and just, I guess, everyday teenage stuff. But he actually got better when he got with Megan, and he loved her. Anyways, hold on just 1 second here, because I'm going to put my comments where I can actually see them. Yeah, Without Borders, it is. This is just crazy. Anyways, he was an all around really good kid. Everybody said he was always a jokester. He laughed. He loved to have fun. He was a family oriented person. He loved to be around his family. And anyways, in 2017, he was doing well. He had his daughter, Sophia, and you can see she's just adorable. And he was engaged to Megan, she was beautiful. And according to his sister, Kelsey, he would have done anything for either one of his, Kelsey or Megan. He loved them so much. And then comes around June 7th. He was hanging out with his family at his house. I think his baby was there, Megan, his mom, his dad, and his mother was fixing supper. And she's like, do you want me to make you a plate? And Tanner's like, well, I'm only going to be gone 30 minutes, but I'm going to go hang out with, or go see Jeremiah. And they had never heard of this Jeremiah. Nobody had, but he was talking about it so casual, and they thought, okay. He says, save me a plate, Mom, and I'll be back. So anyways, that night he didn't come home, and they thought, okay, he got caught up in visiting with this Jeremiah. Well, I've heard there's two different stories on One that he didn't own a cell phone, and another one said that his cell phone was left there along with his keys. Let me say hello to everybody coming in. Hello, Tamara. I hope I said hello to all you guys. Anyway, so I don't know if he had a phone or if he just left it at the house. I never could actually, I don't know. Being 19, you would think he would have had a phone. So I'm going to go with he probably just left it at his house. Anyways, he was very casual about going and talking to this guy. So they didn't think anything about it until the next day. The next day, Tanner didn't come home. And everyone was so worried, as should be. And because this was not like Tanner to just up and leave. Hello, 71 KJC. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it so much. Anyways, they just knew this was not Tanner. Tanner would not want Megan to worry, or his mom and his dad and his brother and his sisters. So Kelsey started retracing his footsteps from the night prior, and Kelsey, people, she was asking who this Jeremiah was, and somebody told her exactly who he was and where he lived. So she went straight to Jeremiah's apartment, and she knocked, and there was nobody there. But the one thing she did see, the door was unlocked, so she marched right in there. And when she marched into his apartment, it was destroyed. I mean, there was stuff everywhere. There was a hole in the wall, things that you just don't see normally. But the main thing she noticed was Tanner's hat. The hat that he always wore. He never, he never took it off. It was sitting on the coffee table. And I'm going to kind of fast forward, or not fast forward, talk about this, what Trenton looks like. Trenton, Missouri, I think in 2017, there was like 5,000. The population was, I know it was under 6, just a very small community. Everybody knows everybody. You know, it's just something that, it's just a place that you would want to call your home. I mean, I'm looking at where I live, and there's, I think, 3,500. So it's double here. It's still a very small community. So everybody knew everybody. That's why when she asked around and they told him where this Jeremiah lived, she was able to go find him. But anyway, when she walked in, his hat was laying there, and the apartment was, there was stuff all over, a hole in the wall. She just thought that was really weird. And when she saw the baseball hat that Tanner always wore sitting on the coffee table, she immediately went to the authorities. And when she went to the authorities, they just took it as Tanner was a runaway. Hey, Irvin. Hello, Lori. How are you guys? Hello, Rena. Hello, LFT. Thank you guys for coming. Anyways, the authorities, well, like they do, they considered, oh, he got mad or he ran away and he'll be back. Well, 2 weeks later went by and there was no Tanner. Nobody had heard from him, had seen him, nothing. They hadn't heard nothing. So since law enforcement wasn't going to do anything, family took it upon themselves and took it into their own hands. And they decided they went ahead and made a whole bunch of flyers, and they put them all over the town, everywhere. And in the meantime, while Kelsey was hanging these flyers out, she actually seen Tanner in his truck, or not Tanner, Jeremiah, the guy that Tanner went to see, in his truck, and she flagged him down, told him to get out. And she was like, the first thing she seen was the shirt that this Jeremiah had on actually looked like the exact same shirt Tanner was wearing the night before when he left. And she noticed that there was something that looked almost like cigarette burns on the shirt. And she asked him, what is all over that shirt? Looks like cigarette burns. And he goes, oh, no, they're just stains. And she goes, well, I'm calling law enforcement right now because that looks like Tanner's shirt. He goes, I'll just meet you at the law center. So by the time she got there, he was already there. And this is just unreal. Unreal. Is anybody else came in? I'm terrible, you guys, about looking at comments. Anyways, so when she got to the law center, they were in there and they were talking to Jeremiah. And once they got to the law center, they went ahead and asked Jeremiah to remove the shirt. And he was very hesitant. He was not going to do it, very reluctant on doing it. Well, law enforcement got him to give them the shirt. They had it tested, but they couldn't tell if there was blood or not. Does that make sense? That does not make any sense. It was, they couldn't say if there was or wasn't. Oh. Then they ended up doing a voice stress test, which is not as good as a lie detector, but it's quicker. And they wanted to know what he was hiding, if anything. And it showed deception. But we all know that they can't do anything with that. So they had to, of course, let Jeremiah go. But law enforcement did find out that Jeremiah's father owned some land, which is like 10 miles outside of Trenton. So law enforcement went and checked out his father's land that he has, and they brought in cadaver dogs. And with these cadaver dogs, they hit at a fire, like a fire pit. The cadaver dogs hit there. And so law enforcement took everything out and they found bones. Well, they had a, what are those that deal with bones? They checked them and they said it was actually animal bones in a fire pit. I don't know. Go figure. So Tanner was okay. So then Tanner, okay, hold on here. So that happened in June. So fast forward to 6 months later, in December, actually my birthday, December 4th of 2017. Hey, Breezy. Yeah, this is crazy, you guys. This is just nuts, especially being so close to where I live. I had never heard of this. And so many weird, suspicious people just disappearing and things happening. Ugh, it's scary. Anyway, so now it's December of 2017. This day, there was 2 high schooler students walking to school, and they had walked the same path 2 or 3, maybe 4 times. They noticed a body hanging from a tree about 25 feet up in the tree. They called law enforcement. Of course, law enforcement came. They were pretty certain it was Tanner, but they needed family to come and make an identification. So Tanner's dad actually came and he did identify him physically, but then he was also identified with dental records. Now get this, you guys. This is where it gets freaking nuts. His hands and fingers were they were mummified. And that ain't even the worst. His freaking feet were gone. His feet were gone. Ugh. They said he had some decomposition. there was a rope hanging that the body was hanging from, and it was wrapped around the branch like 6 or 7 times. They sent the body to a Dr. Mitchell with Frontier Forensics Midwest in Kansas City. The freaking autopsy showed suicide. Suicide. That doesn't even, don't even make sense to me. I am just shocked at this. 71 KJC. I had not even heard of this case, and it's crazy. I live very close to here, and my nieces, my 2 nieces and my 2 nephews actually went to college in Trenton. Anyways, his feet was missing, and they showed suicide. Okay, so his body was hanging above grade over, the branches in the tree. It doesn't make any sense. Tanner, now this is where I'm confused, because it says Tanner was wearing a t-shirt and jeans and no other injuries noted. But that goes back to Kelsey saying that this Jeremiah had his t-shirt on, and there was no shoes found. Irvin, you never know. I'm telling you, there's so many things, weird things happening in this world. But anyways, he was wearing a t-shirt and jeans and no other injuries noted. Where were the shoes? Were the feet inside the shoes? The feet fell off. Animals took the feet away. I don't know. But that's not even the craziest part. As far as for hanging in a tree for 6 months, where I live, very, very hot and humid conditions. Very, very hot and humid. That whole body would have been so decomposed. There would have been the vultures, bugs, insects, other birds. There was nothing on his body that animals had got to it. So, anyways, the family said Tanner did not do this to them himself. They know this. He was not suicidal. He had no suicidal tendencies, never talked about it. And plus, the night that he left, he told his mom, make me a plate. I'll be back in about 30 minutes. He's not going to just be so, calm. And anyways, where they found him at in this tree was actually 3 blocks from his home, from the Tanner, or from the Ward home. So 3 blocks, not to mention that the high schoolers said that they walked this same path 3 or 4 different times. Construction workers came forward. They worked not very far from this. They never seen anything. They never smelt anything. And one of Kelsey's friends took her daughter and walked around in this wooded area because it was so beautiful. And she always looked up at the trees. And when the wind was taking the tree, she had literally looked up that same tree and was showing her daughter something, and his body was not there. Several people came forward. I mean, this was not out in the country. This was right in Trenton, just in a little wooded area. And they're saying that body hung there for 6 months. No way. No way. So anyways, it was considered suicide. Well, family said, nope, that did not happen. We know he was murdered. And law enforcement got very upset because they were saying that too many people were just spreading rumors and stuff. Well, family actually got a text and said that somebody had told them that Tanner had been tortured for 4 months and then killed and kept in a freezer, which goes back to his hands being mummified and I don't know. And then another one says that he was tortured and put in a well or like a fruit cellar, but they never did. It's still showing suicide. Authorities did not believe any of these claims with anything. He says the community was fueling the fire and they wasn't going to listen to it. I just know when mummification, it has to be in a cool, dry area before any mummification. Being in Trenton, Missouri, especially June, July, August, September, and even October, and sometimes November, there's no way that body, the vultures, the birds, everything would have been at it. And people would have seen it. There's just crazy. He was hanging 25 feet above the ground in a tree, 3 blocks. There's no way somebody would have seen that. It's just unbelievable. Anyways, so we're going to go back to the theories. I guess in 2016, which this isn't a theory, Tanner and his brother, that was before Sophia was born. And, like I said, he'd been in trouble. There's actually a report that him and his brother held a couple people at gunpoint during a home invasion. And one of those people was Jeremiah. So family thinks that Jeremiah befriended him, and then once he befriended him and he wanted to go visit, he probably done something. That's a theory. There was supposed to be this Stephanie Miller, but there was nothing in the report on Stephanie Miller that I could find, but they say she was there too. That was Jeremiah's neighbor. And then of course, another is suicide, which I look more towards the murder, not the suicide. How's he? Okay. Is he going to get up in that tree? No feet. And if the feet did fall off, I don't know. I wish I would have been able to find out in the autopsy report how it was. His feet cut off, or did gravity, like law enforcement says, pull his feet off? I don't know. And then some people think law enforcement covered it up, which, looking at law enforcement, they sucked at this. Sorry, they did. What do you guys think? Hey, Shay, how are you? Exactly, Irvin. And then some people say, well, maybe he was forced to crawl up there because who's going to lift a 200-pound body 25 feet up in the air and tie it around a tree? Well, they could have, put around him and then pulled him up with the rope that he was hanging from. This is just, being in true crime and you hear these crazy cases like this, it's just unbelievable. Breezy says, I've heard theories about drug use and him owing money to people, and then theories about a disagreement that turned bad. That does not surprise me. And that goes back to somebody did this to him. But you would think that law enforcement would. Yes?
Hey, can I go see Bailey and Maria?
I don't care.
Okay,
Okay. Sorry, my daughter, guys. I would say that somebody did this to him. And the family's not going to stop. And I don't blame them. There's actually some Facebook groups, I would love to show that family some support because I can't imagine what they're going through. Cannot even imagine. I mean, 5 years, 5 years ago, I didn't know anything about this case. I had never heard of it. Tow trucks. Yeah, LFT, I agree. Especially when you look at everything that's happened around here. And I mean, you got that Ty Husted. He went missing from in Missouri somewhere, out, just at a, going to work. Harry's been missing. Just weird things happening. But I cannot imagine what his mom and his dad and his sisters and even brother are going through. Especially the dad that had to come and identify his body. And you would think if it was gravity, it would have not just pulled the feet off. You know what I mean? Hey, Wolfie, how are you? Yeah, that Jeremiah, and still today, he has never been charged, nothing. He's living his life. And this is all my opinion. I'm not saying he did do anything, but it's suspicious. And that would be him. It just doesn't make sense. But this is his, the fiance, the little girl, and the mom and the sister. I mean, I just couldn't imagine. They were such a close-knit family. I mean, I agree, 71 KJC. I definitely agree. It was a cover-up, and I don't know if that Jeremiah, knew somebody in law enforcement. I don't know. But it was definitely something's wrong with it. I mean, he just loved that baby so much. Exactly. And especially both of them, Irvin, both feet were gone. Nowhere in sight. And he's just hanging there with no feet. I'm doing good, Wolfie. Just kind of sticking to myself. How are you? I hope you guys are all doing good. Is it hot there where you guys are at? That's what I'm thinking, 71 KJC, especially that goes back to, they say they tortured him. Oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine. Yeah, and the autopsy report showed suicide. I couldn't find it. I did find out that the doctor that did it, and let's see, it's Dr. Mitchell from Frontier Forensics Midwest in Kansas City, Missouri. So yeah, yep, Tanner shirt. Now, I was where I've seen it from, the truck was actually Jeremiah's. There's no interview. And like I said, it showed deception on the one test, and they couldn't conclude if there was blood on the shirt. There's just so much weird things, because then they say when he was found, he had a shirt on. So did they switch the shirts on him? I don't know. I guess there was nothing, Irvin. The only thing was the feet missing and then the rope around the neck. There was some decomposition, I'm sure. I mean, it would be totally, if it had been hanging in that tree for 6 months, especially 4 or 5 of those months is very hot and humid, there's no way that there would have been anything left. I don't know, Breezy, whose shirt he was wearing. Because that Kelsey said that she knows that was the shirt that Tanner had on the night that he left. Plus, she had found his baseball cap in his apartment. Yeah, I guess Kelsey said that the 4 areas on the shirt almost looked like cigarette burns. But Jeremiah's like, they're stains. But when the cops took it and did forensic testing on it, they couldn't conclude if there was blood or not, they say. I don't understand that, but I don't know whose shirt he was wearing. This is a very bizarre case. 19 years old. And like I said, yeah, before he had got in trouble and he done some wrong things, but he was getting his life on track. He was going to marry Megan. He loved his daughter. He was so excited about life. Never talked about suicide, which, don't get me wrong, I know that people that commit suicide, they won't usually talk about it. But it was 3 blocks from his home. He loved his mom and his dad. He wouldn't do that to them, they said. He would have done it a different way than going 25 foot up in the air. And like I said, I wouldn't think anything about it if they're saying it didn't hang there for 6 months and nothing be wrong with the feet missing. That's it. There's no way. I mean, I see a deer on the side of the road and, you know, I won't even say, but there's no way. There's no way. Hey, Punksy, how are you? Breezy has been watching Dexter. Yeah, this is, I would love to be able to, I asked to join the Facebook groups. I would love to get more information. There's something fishy going on. And I don't think law enforcement did their job here. In my opinion, they were rude to the family. It just goes back, if it was their child, would they, it's suicide, you know. From what I think the family's trying to get someone else to look at the case file, the autopsy report. And I don't know if they just have it hid right now. I don't know, because I couldn't find it. Oh, geez, Irvin. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that case there, Breezy. Ugh, that'll make you almost nauseous. Just like I said, there's some crazy freaking people in this world. Yeah, I know, Without Borders, precious babies. Oh, it's just awful. I seen a picture of his little girl. She's gorgeous. She looks just like her mom. You know what? Out of the Shadows with Ginger, I think that's what Kelsey thought, that he burned the blood spots out. No, Irvin, not that I know of. I didn't hear any family members say that. I don't think so. The only thing they said is they said there was no other injuries. There was some decomposition and the feet were gone. And the neck from the rope. I don't know. I'd like to know if they what the where the feet were taken off, fell off, cut off, whatever, what it looked like. Was it like surely they can tell if they were cut off or if they just really did fall with gravity, but that doesn't make sense to me. Oh my gosh, Breezy. Yeah, I don't think I'd even want to look at them. Oh. They said from what I've seen, Irvin, there was like the fingers, the hands were mummified, and it just said decomposition everywhere else. I mean, but 6 months, there would be nothing left. No, they never did find the feet, Breezy. They never found them. That's why that doesn't make sense. And where was his shoes? Were the feet in the shoes when they fell off? And I don't know. But you would think if an animal took them somewhere, they would have found them. I don't know. There had to be saw marks on his ankles. Yeah, that's what I don't know. Well, there you go, Out of the Shadows with Ginger. Then that's exactly what he probably did. I just couldn't imagine, though. I couldn't imagine how scared he was and what he went through. Especially, he told his mom to leave him, fix him a plate, and I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'm going to go talk to Jeremiah. Nobody even knew who Jeremiah was. He had never mentioned him before. I mean, they literally came back with cause of death as suicide. Why so quick to say that? They should have done more investigating, especially what people were saying, and law enforcement was getting pissed that people were saying this. He says, they said that it was just ridiculous, what people were talking and saying. I don't know. But what I do know is if it was my kid, I would not stop either. Not ever. I did see where his fiance Megan's engaged again. That's what I'm thinking, because 71 KJC, good point, because the day that she asked him about the shirt and she goes, I'm calling law enforcement right now. He says, I'll just meet you there. And by the time she got there, he was already there talking to him. My theory, he was tortured and kept somewhere, eventually died, and he was hoisted up in that tree. Why Jeremiah wasn't questioned more than he was is beyond me. He had involvement. Absolutely. Yep. Kitty litter. Draws out moisture and absorbs. So you think maybe they put them in kitty litter? I go back to what the people that messaged the family and said in a freezer, and then another one was a cellar or an old fruit cellar or a well. A lot of shady stuff. Makes me wonder if Ty's hanging in a tree somewhere. Ty Husted, the other boy that's been missing. I think he went missing in 2018. Anyways, yeah, I was like, I got to talk about this. This is crazy. Still haven't found them. Yeah, and then that goes back to Harry Milligan. It's been almost 38 years. No sign, no nothing. It seems like stuff is happening a lot more in small towns too. Nobody will speak up. Same with Harry. Same with, I mean, well, just like Tanner, though, there was people speaking up, but law enforcement don't want no part of listening to it. Yeah, LFT. But Breezy made, I think it was Breezy. She said that they could have hoisted him up in the tree, which makes sense. And then, more importantly, all these people that was right there that worked next to that tree, played around that tree, walked right past it. Those high school kids said they would have seen that body if it had been there. The construction workers said they would have seen it. I mean, you don't just not see something like that. LFT, are you and Tia working on anything right now? Are you guys working on that one case that we talked about? Yeah, I believe me, I use kitty litter in my garage, like when we change the oil or if we have somebody with an oil leak or whatever. Well, if you look at what mummify your body will, mummification will occur if they're in a cool, dry place. There cannot be any moisture. It's got to be cool and dry. Well, exactly, out of the shadows, smelling it. Somebody would have had to have smelt that. What about using lime? Would that just eat the body, or because lime, I thought that just like you use it on the grass. Hmm. Ugh. Well, being a small town, people are related. You know, we know how that goes. Somebody, I believe, was either good friends with Jeremiah or related or something. the cadaver dogs, when they hid at the fire pit and they found bones and they had those bones tested, it was an anthropologist. I couldn't think of the word, but they said it was animal bones. Why would, I wonder what kind of animal bones? I mean, just doesn't make sense. Anyways, exactly, Breezy. That's what made me think kitty litter absorbs oil, so will absorb liquids. Oh, good, LFT. I can't wait for you guys to do that. You guys have to tune into that one. That one's going to be a good one. No, you're fine, LFT. Anyways, I'm not going to be on here long. I have to go out and take my puppy back outside. I just wanted to talk about this because this just got me. I may be doing a part 2 on this. I'm going to try to get a hold of Kelsey. I would love to talk to her, or the mother, Lisa. Heck, I was going to actually find out and see if my nieces and my nephews knew him, or knew somebody that knew him. I just, this needs to be talked about a lot more than what it is. Kitty litter would mask the smells. You would think they would have found it on him, though, or something. I don't know. It's just nuts to me. Anyways, I promise I will be doing a part 2 on this. Anyways, you guys, thank you for stopping in and letting me talk about this. I'm glad other people had heard of it and is thinking it's just as bizarre as I do. Because, man, you just don't think stuff like this happens so close to your, where you live. Yeah, 71 KJC. I had never heard of it. That's what's crazy. Anyway, say a prayer for this boy or this young man's family, guys, and hope and pray to God they get it reopened and justice will be served. Because I believe that somebody did this to him. Anyways, thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys. I'm sure I'll see you guys around. I appreciate you guys coming in. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me. Good night.